New changes are now in place for children born in the UK. With us in the studio today, we've got an expert who will be able to break it down on British citizenship. Without wasting your time, can you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Hello, everyone. I'm Laurentia Kwijiraful. I'm a solicitor based in United Kingdom, and I specialize in UK immigration law. I hope I will be able to use this opportunity to address some of your concerns in relation to citizenship. Thank you for having me again on this program.
Thank you. Can children whose parents aren't British qualify for British citizenship?
Now, this depends, I always say, on the immigration status of the parent at the time of the birth of the child. So, for instance, I'm going to give some scenarios. These are basically examples. Now, they are not exhaustive, but it would help people to understand what I'm trying to say. Now, so for instance, if a child is born to a parent who has indefinite leave to remain in the United Kingdom, although they are not British citizens, the child born will be deemed to be automatically British. That is the first one. Secondly, if at the time of the birth of the child, any of the parent was or is serving in the British Army, the child will be automatically born British. Now, a child born in the United Kingdom, thirdly, who has lived in this country continuously for 10 years can also be registered as a British citizen after the child has lived in this country for 10 years. Now, if any of the parents after the child is born gets indefinite leave to remain, which is also deemed to be settled status, the child can now be registered as a British citizen. If a child is adopted in the United Kingdom by a British citizen, that child can be registered as a British citizen. Also, if, for instance, a child is abandoned in the United Kingdom and is found, that child, they can take steps to register the child as a British citizen, because what will happen is if they don't find or they are not able to locate the parents of the child and find out the status of the child, then the child would have been deemed to have been born to parents who had indefinite leave to remain at the time of the child's birth. These are some of the examples, or these are some of the instances where a child born in the United Kingdom can be registered as a British citizen.
Thank you very much. So where a parent has indefinite leave to remain and their children were born outside the UK after they obtained indefinite leave to remain, do those children qualify for British citizenship?
Now, it depends, I will say again, on the status of the parent. Now, I'll first and foremost talk about children of people serving in the British Army. So if you are serving in the British Army, and let's say they've posted you out to maybe Afghanistan, for instance, and you're working in Afghanistan and you have a child, that child, you can take positive steps to register the child as a British citizen. Now, provision for these children are made under the British Nationality Act of 1981 as amended, specifically Section 4D. Now, apart from that, any other migrant who has indefinite leave to remain, if they give birth to children, okay, after they've obtained the indefinite leave to remain, now have to take positive steps to let the children come into the country first and foremost. So what they have to do in most cases is for them to apply for indefinite leave to enter for these children. Now, they have to, of course, satisfy the immigration rules. If they do satisfy the immigration rules, they will be granted indefinite leave to enter. When the children now come into the country, they can now take steps to do other things for them.
Okay, so just to be clear, children born to parents who have indefinite leave to remain and the children were born abroad do not qualify for British citizenship.
They do not qualify for citizenship unless the parents are serving in the British Army at the time of their birth.
Thank you. My name is Francis. If you're seeing value for this content, give this video a like and share it with anyone that you know will benefit. Subscribe to this channel. We want to give you information that will help you achieve your migration dream. So, Laurentia, for children born in the UK to parents who have deemed to be here without status, how long can the children live in the UK before they qualify to apply for British citizenship?
Now, these children, there are two classes of these children when it comes to the number of years that they must have lived in the country. It's either 8 years or 10 years, depending on when you are making your application. Now, it used to be 10 years. So, for instance, if a child was born here, has lived here continuously for 10 years, then of course you can apply for citizenship for the child. You can apply to register the child as a British citizen, provided the child satisfy the good character requirement, okay, and the residence requirement. So, for instance, in each of the years that you are accumulating towards a 10-year period, the child shouldn't have spent it shouldn't have spent more than 90 days out of the country. So if you are using a 10-year period, for every year, ensure that the child didn't leave the country for more than 90 years. The child should have been in the country for a period of time, to ensure that you satisfy the residence requirement, but you have to bear that one in mind. Now, with these children, when they've lived there continuously for 10 years, they can apply for citizenship. What we also have to bear in mind is a new appendix was introduced, Appendix Private Life. Now, this Appendix Private Life caters for children who were born in this country, whose parents didn't have any form of leave to remain. Now, with such children, what they can do is when they've lived here continuously for 7 years, they can apply for indefinite leave to remain. And then 12 months after they've obtained indefinite leave to remain, they can now apply for citizenship. So with them, it would be 8 years having lived in this country for them for it to enable them to get citizenship in this country.
So what is the difference between doing it after 7 years, applying for indefinite leave to remain, and applying for citizenship after 1 year, or waiting till 10 years?
Now, because this is a new it was recently introduced, okay, of course, it wouldn't have been applicable to a lot of children. Some would now be 9 years old, some will now be 9.5 years old, and stuff like that. Now, if you come to me and you ask me, what I would tell you, the advice I'll give to you is very simple. Don't waste money applying for the indefinite leave to remain and then waiting for 12 years before you apply for citizenship. What I would advise you to do is just wait till you are 10 years old and then make that application. So the difference basically is there isn't much of a difference, but it all boils down to when you were born. If you were more than 7 years or 8 years after the new rule was introduced, then of course there's no point in applying for that. But of course, if you've now given birth to a child, then you may want to use this appendix private life. You may want to benefit from that one instead.
Okay, you heard it live here from Laurencia that if you are under 7, there is a pathway now that for you to apply for indefinite leave to remain for your children if they have lived in the UK as long as they're born here. So Laurencia, if anyone wants to contact you, I've left Laurencia's details in the description box. All you need to do is scroll down, you'll be able to see. But how would our audience contact you if they want your service?
Now, they can use the email address that you put on there. So the info@laurenciasolestes.com. Alternatively, they can go on our website where we have all information in relation to what we do for people and stuff like that. The best thing is they can also look at us up on Google and review Solestes, where people have rated us as well. But most of the information will be on our website, which is laurenciasolestes.com.
Is there any information that you think our audience needs to be aware of with respect to applying for British citizenship for their children?
Now, I always say citizenship is a complex area. So it's very important. If you are unsure of your circumstance, always seek legal advice. Now, this British Nationality Act of 1981, it's not very easy to understand. So if you can't do it as a layman, get a solicitor, get a legally qualified person to assess your situation, to assess your circumstances, and tell you the best thing to do in relation to yourself and your children.
Okay. Well, if you have seen value for this content, share this content with your family and friends. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so. Leave your comment in the comment section. I'm grateful for having our expert Laurencia in the house today to give us the update on citizenship application for your children. Thank you so much, Laurencia, for joining us, and I hope the audience enjoy what you have shared.
Thank you very much for having me again. Bye.
Bye-bye.